नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नष्टके कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपाकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमपदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामने गौतुसे नमः। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपीश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्ता नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी विश्वानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौ भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, thank you all for joining in. I hope I'm audible. All of you can move a little forwards so I don't have to strain my throat here. Can I get my water bottle? So, welcome once again for this Bhagavat Life program, wherein we have been discussing from third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, conversation between Mother Devhuti and Kapila Dev. And we are reading from the 27th chapter. Just a second. So in 27th chapter, we had discussed up to the 16th verse because we got late in starting. So I'll not do the recap. I'll start from the 17th verse directly, where Mother Devuti would ask now another very interesting question. So the following verses are very, very important. I would say more than the verses, they're important, but Srila Prabhupada purports are very, very special. So we're going to pay attention to Prabhupada purports. There are only 10 verses or 11 verses to cover. I'm not going to jump on to the next chapter. We'll spend some time discussing this. And I'm pretty sure all of you, particularly as a practicing devotees for many years, you would love and appreciate the discussion which Srila Prabhupada does in this beautiful purports here. Text number 17. Devahutir vacha purusham prakrite brahman na vimunchati karhichit anyunya apashrayatvacha nityatva annayo prabhu. Mother Devati inquired, My dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to other eternally, how is their separation possible? Very interesting question. Many of the things that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, will see that being reiterated in this discussion also. So, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti. Ishvara is Namaste Purusham Tvadyam Prakriti Purusham Param. He is transcendental to the Prakriti. When it comes to Jiva and Prakriti and this material nature, they are very uh, in a very complicated relationship. You know, at times Jiva says, "Chhod do, chhod do, chhod do," but it's like he's holding the same material nature and is trying to say, "Leave me, leave me, leave me." And point comes, if in case you have already served Prakriti for so many lifetimes, why would the master leave a very dedicated and committed servant? Even if you say, I want to leave, why would Prakriti, who's acting as a master now, because our own desires, material desires, why would Prakriti leave? It's almost, Mother Devati says, not possible. It's very, very difficult. Therefore, she's raising a question. How is their separation possible? So Krishna says, yes, it is true, a living entity on his own cannot defeat Prakriti. This is something which we have discussed in the past many times, but needs to be repeated again and again because we are conditioned on taking shelter eventually on Prakriti only. Taking shelter on parents, is it taking shelter of the Lord or Prakriti? Taking shelter of one's own strength, intelligence, it is taking shelter of the Lord of Prakriti. It's all taking shelter of Prakriti only. So what does Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita about the subject matter, Jiva and Prakriti? Anyone remembers? Anyone knows any references? What does Krishna says? How can Jiva entangle, not entangle, is already entangled, disentangle himself from the association of Prakriti? Any thoughts? Any thoughts? Any thoughts? So on classic verse 7, chapter 14 verse, Devi Shagunamai Mama Maya Duratya Mami Vaya Papanant Maya Medam Tarantite. What else? The 9th chapter, verse number 10. Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti Suvite Sa Chara Charam Bhitunanena Kaunteya. So this material nature of Prakriti is under my control. And accordingly, she's controlling everything. These are just direct verses. And then comes another one verse, 14th chapter, verse number 26. Mamachaya bhicharena bhakti yogena sevati saguna samatiyeta brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That comes at the end of the 14th chapter, the second last verse, where Krishna talks about the modes of material nature. And then Krishna says, Maya adhyakshena, sorry, what is that? Mamachaye abhicharena. So one who renders abhicharena, in other words, uh, continuous devotional service unto me, Mamachaye abhicharena, bhakti yogena sevate, saguna samatiyeta, sagunan. He can easily transcend the modes of material nature. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate, and what he attains? Brahman platform. So that's a point which Krishna says, and that is something what close to, of course, Prabhupada mentioned the same thing over here. Let's take a look at what uh, Kapil Dev would respond. Mother Devati continues with that question, wherein she now in the next verse gives analogy, text number 18. Yatha gandhasya bhumascha vyatirekatah apamrasasya cha yatha tatha buddhih parasya cha. Just as there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma or water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. Text number 19. In other words, the point Mother Devati is raising, there is no question of exercising any desires if you do not have the body only. Even if you have the intelligence, which is part of subtle body. But if you don't have the gross body, you cannot fulfill those desires. But interestingly, the desires are the manifestation of Atma. And then it goes through the subtle body, eventually gets manifested in the external body. But this whole subtle body and gross body is a gift of Prakriti. So if Jiva, Yedam Dharate Jagat, if Jiva has an intention to enjoy, he cannot do it without the help of Prakriti. So then Satchitananda, the nature of the Jivatma, which Upanishad says is Satchitananda, Ananda, then how would a Jivatma enjoy? So in other words, Prabhupada here, if you take a look at the purpose of Prabhupada, I'm not getting into the subject matter right now, but Prabhupada is saying that how Mother Devati's questions are actually questioning the whole understanding of the Mayavadis. They say we all are one, we are same. And how do you enjoy if you don't have support of Prakriti? Text number 19. Akartu karma bandhoyam purushasya yadashraya guneshu sassu prakritihi kaivalyam teshu taha katam. As even though he is the passive performer of all activities, how can there be freedom of for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? So he is a passive performer. Why it is said, Akartu karma bandho yam. Akartu. Kartu means karna. Akartu means one who does not do. So Mother Devata is saying, although Jivatma is passive performer, who is the active performer? प्रकृति ही क्रियमाणानि गुणा कर्माणि सर्वशः. कर्ता कौन है? कर्ता सब प्रकृति के द्वारा है. Who is a passive performer then? Jivatma. Although he is a passive performer, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? You know the puppet and puppeteer example? The puppet cannot walk free as long as his body is tied with the threads by the puppeteer. Which means if we are under under the influence of modes of matter nature, as long as we are under the influence of Prakriti, we cannot really be set free. Again, all of you understand this premise here from the discussion of Bhagavad Gita. That's the point is mentioned here. So, Prabhupada action the puppets. What Mother Devati meant. In other words, in the middle of the puppet, first paragraph, living entity has no opportunity to get out of the control of material nature because it has already conditioned him. Are you getting the premise of discussion here? Which means, imagine if you're sitting on a chair and your hands and legs are already tied up. This is what, with the Jivatma. Jivatma has been already conditioned by Prakriti. If that is your situation, then how would you set yourself free? If your hands and legs are tied up, can you set yourself free? Yes. That's only possible in James Bond movies. But that is called as movie. Not possible in real life. You know? That's the point. If you're already conditioned, if you're already controlled by Prakriti, how can you overrule Prakriti? That's not possible. In Bhagavad Gita, reading further, purport, it is also stated it is very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. One may try in different ways to think that everything is void and the ultimate issue, that there is no God, that even if the background of everything is spirit, it is impersonal. So Papa writes in the next paragraph, since Devati is gradually coming to the point of surrender, our questions are very intelligent. How can one be liberated? How can one be in a pure state of spiritual existence as long as he is strongly held by the modes of material nature? This is also an indication of the false meditators. So in other words, our faith should become very strong. Gauranga. The point here is without taking shelter of the Lord. There's so many spiritual paths which are promoted today, meditations, yoga practices. But if you really want to become freed from the clutches of Prakriti, really want to live a life as a Atma, what the nature of the soul, it's not possible without taking shelter of the Lord. Text number 20. Kvachit tvatva mamarshena nivritam bhayam ulvanam anivritta nimittatvat punha pratyavatishtate. Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation, an inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again since its cause is not ceased. Fantastic, fantastic discussion. If you pay attention to this is very similar to what Parishit Maharaj said to Sukdev Goswami in 6th Canto. Unless the desire to enjoy is taken care, Hare Krishna. Unless the desire to enjoy has been addressed, whatever prayashita, a living entity may do for his sinful actions, he will be forced to act again. That is the same point she's saying here. Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation, and inquiry. Mental speculation refers to Gyanis, those who study, those who want to understand the absolute truth by, discovering on their own strength. An inquiry into the fundamental principle, that is Sankhya Yoga, 24 elements. It may still appear again, which means the bondage for a time being, all of us have an experience. How many of you have that experience? Let's ask our audience. I'm not even able to see our audience today. How do I see the audience here? One quick second. Yeah. So, how many of you had an experience? You attend a class and there is some discussion on Vairagya. And sitting in the class, you feel really inspired. Yes, everything is false. सब झूठा है, सब छोड़ देना चाहिए. उसको लो धीरा करने के लिए. वो बंद मत करो, अरे वो सिग्नल कम हो जाएगा. उसको लो slowly करने के लिए. How many of you have felt that, suddenly a spirit of, detachment comes once in a while when you hear a class? We had that experience. But when you go back, when you look at the beautiful world outside, nice hoardings, giving great promises and attractive offers, we forget about all that. This is what Mother Devati is saying. You may study scriptures to discover absolute truth. You may discuss Sankhya to figure and, do analysis, how this body is made of earth, water, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, pause, ego. The body is nothing but a bag of stool, urine, pus, mucus, blood, whatnot. We can talk about all those gross things, but nothing gonna change. Why? Since its cause has not ceased. So my question to all of you, with little background here, what is that cause? The cause has not ceased. What is that cause which she is addressing? If you have understood now, then you know. Sangria Center, why our boys' cameras are not on? Why are you guys sitting with your cameras off? Yes, Mother Induradika, you're saying something? Wait.
No, Prabhuji. Anyhow, it's a desire.
Last session was dedicated to this cause only. We discussed about cause. What is that cause? Okay, desire, great. Mother Medhavni, Mother Chintamani. I need a verse. So many times we discuss that verse. All of you have done Shastri now. Yes? Of course, I'm not trying to make you a Gyani, but at least something to remember. What is that? Mother Poonam says Icha. What is after Icha? 7th chapter, verse number 27. Icha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharataha. So what is the cause? Icha and dvesha. Don't only say Icha. It will be an incomplete answer. It will be cheating ourselves. As much as we have the Icha to enjoy this world, to that degree we have dvesh to Lord Krishna. And when you say we have dvesh for Krishna, we have dvesh for Vaishnavas and everything related to Krishna. You getting it? Icha dvesh samathena, dvandva mohena bhara. That's what she's saying. Since his cause has not ceased. Prabhupada writes in the purports, these two items, what is that? I want to be the enjoyer, I want to be Krishna. Desire to be the Lord and envy of the Lord are the beginning cause of material bondage. So we should memorize this. We should not have doubt. When we are given a course correction in our course of practice of devotional life, at times when we are given course correction, we act so innocent, harmless, as if, we are a pure devotee. Everything that we are doing is only for the service of Guru and Gauranga. I have no ulterior motivations. If you didn't have ulterior motivations, then just follow. Bhakti yoga means dasya yoga, surrender. Then why don't you surrender? Why do you bring your perverted intelligence and mind to put into picture? No, no, not this, not that. So those who defend and argue when they're not willing to accept course correction, there's just too much into it. If you would have had the simplicity of heart, which is nothing but one outcome of purity, then you just follow. I mean, what you're going to do going back home, back to Godhead? If Krishna says, all right, well, Krishna is not going to tell you, but let's say some Gopa Gopi comes and says, all right, pick up this broomstick and clean the floor. What do you say? पता नहीं मैं कितना बड़ा IT engineer था भूमि पर. Give me some high-end job. What is this? And they'll say, Papa, you go back there only. So what is this question about chota service, bada service, right thing, wrong thing? All is duality. Dvanda mohena bharata. Born of what? Ichha and Dvesh. So, of course, we got to manage it also. We cannot really push hard because ultimately, it's not easy. It's not easy. So, therefore, Papa said dovetail. So, then we try to dovetail our propensities. It's not easy to do course corrections. So, at least you cannot be corrected or we cannot accept correction, but at least we should be open to this idea. You're not so pure. We're still governed by Ichcha and Dvesha. Ichcha to be controller, proprietor, and enjoyer. Name, fame, recognition. Srila Rupa Goswami calls it at Bhuta, Preta, Pishash. Very difficult to give up. Huh? Devoti very intelligently says, reading the next paragraph. One may theoretically analyze and say that by knowledge he has become freed, but actually, as long as the cause exists, he is not free. That's the idea. So, what is the cause? Ichcha and Dvesha. And I give you a parallel from Parishad Maharaj and Sukdev Goswami's conversation. All right. So, question is clear. What is the question asked by Mother Devati? Anyone would like to paraphrase Mother Devati's question in their word before we get into the answer? Who would like to paraphrase what did Mother Devati ask Parishad, Kapil Dev? Before I fast forward to the solution, after hearing the solution, you should not hear. Are question kya tha? So how would the solution make sense? What did Devati ask? All right, the countdown begins. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. मैं आगे नहीं बढ़ने वाला जब तक तुम में से कोई cheating मत करना हाँ? Don't look into the book. If you looked into the book or the verses back, don't raise your hand. You're disqualified upfront. You're disqualified upfront. You're only supposed to give an answer if you remember what we discussed. So, you get to see how attentive you are. Hare Krishna. Mother Chintamani, your hand is up. Let's hear from you. Hope you have not seen in the book. Go ahead.
So, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Padavat
Yes,
Pranam,
done well.
Prabhuji. What she is trying to say that there is a very close connection between Prakriti and Jiva. And since the Jiva is bound, like it's bound on a chair, then how is it possible for the Jiva to become free from Prakriti?
And who has
Bound by
bound?
the three modes of material.
And who is bound? Jiva, Prakriti only. When it's completely controlled by Prakriti, bound by Prakriti, how can he himself set, himself free from Prakriti? Got it?
Yeah.
So very,
How
very.
can it?
So this is
Yeah.
our situation. We're completely controlled by Prakriti. So how can I, on my own effort, set myself free? Can I? Cannot. Therefore, what Krishna says, only through my causeless mercy. We are not even recipient of his mercy. Because in this condition state, what can we serve Krishna? So therefore, Krishna, very interestingly, if you notice, Tesham satata yuktanam. Not that verse, the next verse. Tesham evanukampartham ham ajnanajam tamam. Evanukampartham. My causeless mercy. Now, have you ever thought about why Krishna is saying causeless mercy? For example, let's say I come and serve you. I render some service to you. Being pleased by that service, you will reciprocate. And in reciprocation, let's say you offer me prasadam. Now, would you say, this is my causeless mercy to you? Yes or no? Yes or no? Not at all. There's an exchange of love. But when Krishna says, now imagine in what situation you would say, this is my causeless mercy to you. You can, okay, let me not grant it. You tell me, in what situation would you say, this is my causeless mercy to you? Yes, Abhishek bro.
जब चीज दी जाती है और फिर जब वो कुछ रिटर्न में मर्सी मिलती है, there is a huge gap of.
Say one line answer. What is causeless mercy? In what is it? Yeah, causeless mercy means हमने तो कुछ किया ही नहीं. We didn't do anything only. Yet the master, yet the person, out of his own mercy, you have not done anything. Causeless. We didn't create a cause. We didn't give him a reason only. And yet, without having a cause, he gave mercy. So please never become proud of your bhakti. Don't think I'm such a great bhakta that Krishna will descend from Vaikuntha or Goloka. Will say, Wah, kya bhakti ho? Chalo. And to whom he said that? This is 10th chapter, verse number 11. And 10.10, what did Krishna say? Tesham satata yuktana bhajata priti purvakam. Those who are engaged in rendering devotional service with love, always. After that, he said, so Tesham ivanukampartham. To that fellows also he's saying causes mercy. The point I'm trying to bring here, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Brahma Bhuta Prasana Atmana Sochati Na Kankshati Mad Bhakti Labate Param. What is that? I can got confused. Brahma, what is that? What is that verse? A famous verse, yeah? I just skipped my head. So a point is in that shloka, Krishna says, Na Kankshati, point is,
Brahmabhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti param.
I said the fourth line. I missed the third line. That's the reason I was missing something I missed. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. Mad bhaktim labate param. Then he engages in my devotional service. Prabhupada writes very categorically, devotional service begins when you're beyond the modes of material nature. So, therefore, we have this beautiful path called as Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, which has been given. Follow the orders. Follow the orders. So, again, Bhakti Yoga means Dasya Yoga. We are supposed to follow and serve. We should not become independent. And if in case you remember from the last discussion, well, it is going to come here. So why should I talk about it? We'll talk here. We'll take a look. All right, the cause is clear. So, causeless mercy, and Krishna says, the idea of causeless mercy is we have not created any reason for him. He by his own causeless mercy. And you will see that Krishna says again, as Kapila Dev here in this conversation. Let's take a look ahead. Text number 21. Now Kapila Dev begin to speak. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Animitta animitena swadharmena amalatmana tivrayamai bhaktiyacha shuta sambhrataya chiram. So having a clarity on the question, no confusion about it. So now let's look forward to what Krishna says. Or Kapila Dev says. Kapila Dev says, Animitta animitena. Animittena. Performing your duties, nimitta, but animitta, but without having any fruitive desires. That is nimittena. Nimittena means becoming a cause. Swadharmena amalatmana. Swadharmena means performing your prescribed duties, amalatmana, with purity of heart. Tivraya mai bhaktiyacha, with determination, enthusiasm, ussaha nishya dhairyat, mai bhaktiyacha, engaged in my devotional service, shruta sambhratya chiram. And श्रुत्या संभृत्या चिरम. देखो भाई, अभी आप रेफरेंस नोट कर लो. हाँ, कई बार लोग कहते हैं यात्रा में कथा लंबी हो जाती है. क्या कहा है? लंबे समय तक सुनना चाहिए. श्रुता संभृत्या चिरम. The Supreme Personality of God said, one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotion service unto me, thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. By thus executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction, and one will be freed from the contamination of matter. Fantastic purport here. So I had discussed this first paragraph before. Srila Swami says, but please have the screen, everyone can see that. Where Srila Swami says, well, while living in this world, can anyone be liberated? Well, how can you be liberated if you are influenced by the modes of material nature? You're surrounded by the Prakriti all time, all situations, sarvatra sarvada. How can you be liberated? Yes, Srila Swami says, you can be Jivan Mukta even in this body. How? Please read. Somebody online would like to read out loudly the first paragraph. Srila Swami comments. Yes, Madam Methavni, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Danatpranam. Sridhar Swami comments in this connection that by association with material nature alone, one does not become conditioned. Conditional life begins only after one is infected by the modes of material nature. If someone is in contact with the police department, that does not mean that he is a criminal. As long as one does not commit criminal acts, even though there is a police department, he is not punished. Similarly, the liberated soul is not affected, although he is in the material nature. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead is supposed to be in association with material nature when he descends, but he is not affected. One has to act in such a way that in spite of being in the material nature, he is not affected by contamination. Although the lotus flower is in association with water, it does not mix with the water. That is how one has to live, as described here by the personality of Godhead, Kapila Dev. Animitta nimittena swadharmena malatmana.
The question arises here. When it is said, Tivrena mai bhaktya cha, engage in my devotional service with determination. My question to all of you here is, kindly hear attentively. However, yet, Kapilada says, Swadharmena malatmana, engage in your prescribed duties. I mean, if I have to render devotional service, this is something what Arjuna had in mind. Why should I fight a war? Why don't I just give up everything, go to the forest? That's my question to all of you. If Krishna is saying, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, wouldn't be easier for me than unnecessarily accepting material responsibilities? If I just take to the path of renounced order and just dedicate myself whole day and night, I'll chant, I'll read and hear. I don't have to worry about, maintaining family, etc., etc. So why Krishna is still saying it? Swadharmena malatmanaha. This is how, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about it. However, in certain yogic traditions, your practice cannot begin only unless you've renounced everything. So, any ideas, any thoughts from anyone? Why is he saying like that? All of you are practicing devotees. How many of you have had a thought, "Bas sab chhod dete hain. Let me give up everything." How many of you? Please raise your hands. If in case the goal of life is to please Krishna, go back home, back to Godhead, why honestly continue to struggle? Anyways, life in the outside world is so troublesome. So much troubles are there. How many of you have experienced that? The life in the outside world, dealing with outside people is so troublesome. Even I experienced that, even in renounced order. Because while living in this world, you have to deal now. So many things. Do you think because somebody have taken renounced order, he doesn't have to do? Even he has to work for his roti kapda makan. I mean, if you don't do services, how will you get the shelter? How will you get a place to live? Who's providing for that? It's not that you're taken a renounced order. Now you can sit idly and just eat whole day, sleep whole day, or chant whole day. Nothing can happen. First of all, we are not qualified to chant. We cannot chant. 16 hours only Krishna only knows how we do it. Sote jagte hue. What will you do rest of the day? Imagine if there is no prasadam for the next 3 days and says, go eat pal mool, kand, ऐसे कहते हैं ना, जाओ. How many of us will survive in brahmacharya ashram? Would anyone? Not at all. So brahmacharya also has to work, has to serve, I would say. Everyone has to work to maintain his body. No doubt about it. To think I'll take to renounce order and everything will work out. It doesn't work like that in reality. So how do you look at it? Because Arjuna had the thought, let me give up everything, go to the forest. Krishna said, hey, wait, come back. Be here, fight. Perform your duty. That will help you, purify you. So what's your thoughts? Let me ask first brahmacharis. I like to hear from brahmacharis because they have joined brahmachari ashram. So how do you justify your situation now? मैंने कही हद तक तो आंसर दे ही दिया है. Well, let's see what brahmachari understands. Sometimes brahmacharis get into a little wrong notion. I am renounced. Baba, tell me, what have you renounced? Have you renounced clothes? You're wearing clothes. Are you coping, Baba? No. Have you renounced food? You eat 3 times, maybe sometimes 5 times, depending on what kitchen you have. I mean, do you eat sweets? Yes, you eat sweets. Maybe brahmachari eats more sweets than anyone. But so much Mahaprasadam is available. But what have you renounced? Do you dance? Yes, you dance. Do you sing? You sing. I mean, you are doing everything to enjoy life. What have you renounced? So sometimes we get into this notion, oh, I'm a Vairagi. What Vairagi, Baba? From which angle you are Vairagi? And sometimes some brahmacharis are so hatte-katte. What kind of Vairagi is that? The double the size of those bichare poor fellows who are going out working. They look slim and trim. Sometimes they are whole healthy, have expensive gadgets, smartphones, laptops. What have you renounced? Then why do you have this sense? I'm not saying any one of you have it. I'm just trying to bring you to that, to somebody to think, oh, brahmachari. Yes, there is something very special. Unfortunately, we don't understand that what is special. Why somebody who has joined brahmacharya ashram has done something very nice. We don't understand that. We have a wrong notion. Because we're coming from that whole background of information, Vairagya, this is very great, then those who work, kind of mismatch like this. So we'll hear from brahmacharis later on. Let's hear from brahmacharis first. What do you think about this subject matter? Let me repeat my question again here. Why Krishna is saying engage in your prescribed duties while parallelly is saying Tivrena Mai Bhaktiyacha, which looks contrary. Okay, let me ask this question to all of you. If in case your situation works, can you all switch on your cameras or react to my questions quickly? Do you find this to be incompatible to say that engage in your prescribed duties and to say that parallelly engage bhakti with full earnest and with full determination and enthusiasm? Is this incompatible? Yes or no? Or how many of you say, if I don't have to engage in my prescribed duties, if I don't have to engage, I can wholeheartedly engage in devotional service. Tivrena can happen then. Okay, let me ask, how many of you say second option seems doable? If I don't have to engage in my household chores, office duties, maintaining family, etc., etc., Prabhu, you would not believe. I will chant 64 rounds every day. I will read Bhagavatam 2 hours every day. Because you know what to do. I have so much to do. I'm not getting time. So how many say Tivirena is possible then? So which means if you believe that, then it is incompatible. The first situation, to engage in the prescribed duties and then to perform devotional life. Tivrena. It becomes incompatible. But Krishna is saying that's what you're supposed to do. Then how do you do so? That's my question to all of you learned people here. I'm specifically beginning with a brahmachari here. What does he understand? Does a brahmachari has a prescribed duty? The answer begins with that. If he has a prescribed duty, what is his prescribed duty? Okay. So mother's gonna speak about brahmacharis. Is that what? So I want to first hear about brahmacharis, huh? So, all right, mother. Okay, mother's hands up. Kaushal, go ahead. What do you think?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I think, what Rupa Goswami has explained about Yukta Vairagya and Falgu Vairagya. So it will be more towards, Falgu Vairagya is what I think.
What is Falgu Vairagya? In what context you're saying, Madhav?
In the sense that if you are given an option of, you leave everything completely and just fully the whole day you engage, that would not be the...
Correct. But my point is, we just had a Prashant who joined Ashok yesterday.
Okay.
I'm not yet announced. I thought I'll announce it Saturday. So some of you may blame me. Madan Sundar क्या कर रहा है ये? ये भगवान की इच्छा के विरुद्ध जा रहा है. भगवान कह रहे हैं, what? Swadharmena amala atmana. Let them engage in their prescribed duties and then encourage them to tivra amai bhaktiyacha. Then why are we having young men join brahmachari ashram? That's contradictory then. So what is the understanding of a brahmachari? Why have you joined brahmachari ashram?
They will also have their prescribed duty, right, Prabhuji?
What is that prescribed duty is what I'm curious to know.
It will be
They also have to.
preaching.
They also have to preach. That's also a kind of
But that is
profession
not
which is required in the society.
But that is not their prescribed duty. What is the prescribed duty?
Swadhyaya, study of Vedic scriptures.
Yeah, they have to study. Yes, in brahmachari they have.
Then who will feed them?
The Grihasthas.
Grihasthas. Grihasthas have to take care of them.
Oh, okay. You're going quite a theoretical way. Fine. How many grihasthas give charity now, Baba? How many grihasthas every day before they eat, they say, all right, somebody come to my house and eat. How much? आपके confidence का मैं respect करता हूँ. Nice confidence. Grihasthas is gonna do that. grihastha को से अरे देखो, lazy आदमी, अच्छा खासा IT में जॉब कर रहा था, सब छोड़ के चला गया. इसको तो मैं बिल्कुल charity नहीं दूंगा. It doesn't work like that. What else? Brahmachari only has one prescribed duty. Does anyone know what is that one prescribed duty? Yes.
Follow the author.
To follow the authority. That's all. That is what we need to cultivate. It's a big misnomer and understanding. We had a case, one fellow joined Brahmachari ashram. I don't know why people join, first of all, if you don't know why they're doing it. It's maybe lack of understanding what Krishna is saying. You know what he told me? अगर मैं आज बाहर काम कर रहा होता तो कितना पैसा कमा रहा होता. मैं इस्कॉन में हूँ, 8 घंटे की सेवा कराते हैं, क्या देते हैं मुझे? बस थोड़ा सा रोटी कपड़ा मकान। यार, where did anyone promise you they'll give you this much also? You join ashram to take, or you join ashram to serve? So people, these young boys who join brahmachari ashram, they argue sometimes, how much service will I do? Why have you joined brahmachari ashram? And then they sit and eat and gain weight. What's the point about it? So this is wrong. So even in brahmachari ashram, we have a prescribed duty to follow and to serve. And actually, brahmachari is supposed to serve, literally twice what even a grahastha can do. Or maybe I would say 10 times. Your life, your whole day and night meant for service. You're supposed to serve, not to sit. And when you serve sincerely, then society would respond. Then society would reciprocate. And then society would like to come forward and assist you in your services, understanding by assisting you, by serving you, we'll also get benefits. All right. So please give up this idea. I need to sleep 7 hours in the night, 2 hours in the daytime, Prabhu, because 2 hours in the morning I worked, because I sat on the chair and I gave instructions to other, you do this, you do this, you do that. You're not going anywhere. You're just preparing for your exit from the ashram. It's just a matter of time. If you don't have the right consciousness, why in the brahmachari ashram? Otherwise, it's entirely against here, na? What Krishna is saying. Fine. So how is the devotional service develops and becomes mature is explained. You can read that. Beautiful purport here. So we'll go forward here. Text number 22. Okay, we didn't talk about grahasthas. So how do you engage in swadharmena amalatmana? All right. So how do you engage in your responsibilities? So those who are in brahmachari ashram, every act of theirs gets purified because they follow. They do as been told to them. They engage accordingly. So now because they're following authority instructions, so things are pretty simple, straightforward. What about grahasthas? So three things Krishna says, many things he says. I'll say three things in Bhagavad Gita, how a grahastha should perform his duties. First, yagna artha karmano anyatra loko yam karma bandhana. Tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. The very first thing is, every act of work which is done should be done in the spirit of service for the Lord. Now, how do you do service for the Lord? Which means there should be a regular financial contributions from every individual, regardless you make 5 rupees, you make 10 rupees, you make 10,000, 10 lakh rupees, there has to be a charity. I mean, I recently shared this beautiful video of His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Indradumna Swami Maharaj, and His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, Sunday morning lecture at San Francisco. Some of you at Hinjawadi might have seen it. How many remember? Have you seen that? I shared that. And I particularly shared because I wanted all of you to see the last part of the program. And the last part of the program, His Holiness Indradumna Swami Maharaj said that tomorrow is my birthday. And I'm sitting here, and I'll not go in more details, but he said, see, I'm not here to tell you that's my birthday. But how do people celebrate birthday? The whole day, the birthday boy is thinking, what people going to bring me? The birthday boy and birthday girl is whole day thinking this one thing only. What people going to bring me? What gift they will bring? What gift? And we all have grown up in that environment, but it's entirely opposite. Birthday is a gift. Anything what we call auspicious becomes auspicious when we serve others. Birthday is a day when we give charity. And His Holiness Swami Maharaj is sitting there setting an example. So I thought on this day, which has no meaning, no value, but to make it valuable, I should do some charity. And he said, I was in London prior to coming here, and I got to know I'm going to be in San Francisco. Maharaj is also going to be there. So I'm going to meet him during this time. So I thought, when I'm going to meet him, so why don't I give a charity? And he said, I went to London, the most expensive showroom where you get the best Kashmiri shawl in the whole world, or Kashmiri silk or wool, whatever it is. So I went there, and he brought the most expensive shawl made of the finest of the Kashmiri wool, whatever they call that way, and he gave it to Maharaj. He said, because I got some donation in London, so I wanted to give a charity. And then he said, well, how can I forget our Vaisheshika Prabhu, my dear God brother? Then he gave another shawl to Vaisheshika Prabhu. Then he said, how can I forget his better half? Then he gave it another shawl to his good wife. And I was just thinking, I said, we as the leaders at our capacity, we only have to teach by our examples. What an example set by Maharaj. That on this day, you give charity and seek blessings. When you serve, then you get blessings, na? but it becomes a miser to the core of our existence. We just don't want to do. We just want our bank account to be stable because ultimately we think our bank account is going to protect us. That's our shelter. How much money goes there, it becomes stinking there, but we would not because we think, oh, nothing is enough because I need more to protect myself. You're 200% in the clutches of Prakriti's this thing. So how yagnartha karmana anyatra lokayam karma bandhana. You need to purify your work by dedicating the results in the service of the Lord. And then what Krishna says, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasiddhyatma chetasa. See, where there Krishna, no, he didn't mention anything, huh? You are earning less, you are earning more, you're joining brahmacharya ashram, doing this and that. How giving some charity can affect you? Tell me. Anyways, forcefully, so much is taken from you. Government takes so much. Then you fall sick, the doctor takes so much. Then you may have some legal fees. Then you may have some wear and tear at your home for which you have to spend. How much you anyway spend. But when it comes to following Krishna's instruction, do you now put your hand at your heart and tell seriously how choosy we are? How choosy we are. This is just the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is not, I'm talking 18th chapter. How choosy we are when it comes to practice. What we need to practice, like this. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya dhyatma chetasa nirasha nirmamo bhutva yuddhasva vigatajvara. And then in the fifth chapter, verse number 10 and 11, Krishna says, Arjuna, work is meant only for one purpose, not for giving you a protection. Work is not guaranteed that it will protect you. Work is only meant for purification. You should work accordingly so that it purifies you. How will it purify you? When you engage in the service of the Lord. No, Prabhuji, I'll give my time, I'll give my effort, but not wealth. Yedil mange more continues. So purification doesn't happen. So when we do that, swadharmena, and then tivrena bhakti, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, then purification begins. Otherwise, no difference gonna make. And I don't know why people are so attached to it. What's the difficulty? Like that. Text number 22. We'll move forward. At least we'll complete it today. Jnanena drishta-tattvena vairagena balyasya tapo-yuktena yogena tivrena atma samadhina. This devotional service has to be performed strongly in perfect knowledge with transcendental vision. One must be strongly renounced, must engage in austerity and perform mystic yoga in order to be firmly fixed in self-absorption. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be performed blindly due to material emotion or mental concoction. It has to be performed as prescribed in full knowledge. We can share the purport, Mother. I'm reading it out. If one does not, fantastic. These purports now, following verses, gonna be a high-class purports. In the middle of the purport, right? If one does not separate himself from material enjoyment, it is to be understood that he is not advancing in Krishna consciousness. Renunciation in Krishna consciousness is so strong that it cannot be deviated by any attractive illusion. One has to perform devotional service in full tapasya, austerity. One should fast into Ekadati days, all those have been mentioned here now. So if one does not separate himself from material enjoyment, it is to be understood that he is not advancing in Krishna consciousness. For my bodily maintenance, how much ever amount I have to spend, I will spend. There I will not excuse any amount of expenditure. But when it comes to giving charity, that becomes, I have no money. I have to save for my future, etc., etc. This is all, what is that situation? Kapil, they're going to speak about it in a short while. We'll see what's happening with all these fellows. Text number 23. Prakriti purushasyeha daimana tu aharnisham tiro bhavitri shaneke agnayona. The influence of material nature has covered the living entity, and thus it is as if the living entity were always in a blazing fire. But by the process of seriously discharging devotional service, this influence can be removed, just as wooden sticks which cause a fire themselves consumed by it. So, all right, we have discussed already that, only by devotional service it can be taken again. Text number 24. Bhukta bhoga parityakta drashta dosha cha nityashaha naishvarasya shubham dattei swemahimni sitasya cha. By discovering the faultiness of a desiring the Lord over matter nature, and by therefore giving it up, the living entity becomes independent and stands in his own glory. Now I'm going to be very encouraging verses here. By discovering the faultiness of his desiring to lord over material nature, when a person identifies that I have this serious defect, I want to be a controller, proprietor, enjoyment. That's what my problem. And therefore, he begins the process of devotional service because he wants to give it up. And then eventually he becomes completely independent and stands in his own glory. Purport, second paragraph, very interesting. When one is actually situated in devotional service, that his is independent position. Less intelligent man cannot understand the position of the eternal servant of the Lord. Because the word servant is used, they become confused. They cannot understand the glory of the servant. Why? One example is Narada Muni. Narada. He's a servant, one of the greatest servants of the Lord. Look at his independence. He can travel to any world, any place, anytime without visa, without flight tickets. That is called independence. He has full control on his body, mind, and senses, which he doesn't have. He has a spiritual form in that sense. That is called as independence. They cannot understand that the servitude is not the servitude of this material world. To be the servant of the Lord is the greatest position. If one can understand this and can thus revive one's original nature of eternal servitorship of the Lord, one stands fully independent. A living entity's independence is lost by material contact. And the spiritual field, he has full independence. Therefore, there is no question of becoming dependent upon the three modes of material nature. Next paragraph is devotee impersonals. You can read it. We'll move forward. Text number 25. Now, Lord Kapiladev gives an analogy. Yata hi aprati buddhasya parasvapo bahunarthabrat saiva prati buddhasya na vai mohaya kalpade. In the dreaming state, one's consciousness is almost covered. And one sees many inauspicious things, but when he's awakened and fully conscious, such inauspicious things cannot bewilder him. Fantastic. So dreaming state is compared to our state of life in this material existence. Just like in your dreaming state, you may say many inauspicious things. Similarly, while living this life, which we consider to be so real, but it's not more than a dream, we may come across many inauspicious things. But when you wake up to your reality, you're not the body, but spirit soul. When you have attained self-realization, then only there is auspiciousness. And there is no inauspiciousness. Text number 26. Evam vidat tatvasya prakrit mahimanasam yunjato napa kuruta atma ramasya karhichet. Vidat tatvasya tattva vijnana. That's the point here. The influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activities, because he knows the truth of the absolute. His mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of God. We'll pause here. Very important discussion. So Kapil Dev says, one who is in knowledge cannot be affected by the modes of material nature. And his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, one who is an enlightened soul, the Prakriti cannot influence him. Now, who is an enlightened soul? Sridhar Swami, we read that purport. Mother Medavani was reading that paragraph. He very clearly says, one who follows the laws of the Lord is a civilized being and thus will not be affected by the modes of material nature. Modes of material nature is nothing but a punishment. Will not be affected by the modes of material nature, which means our surrender, where we are struggling, actually, we are struggling to follow the basic tenets as, the way this creation functions, the laws of the world. Unless we align ourselves and we, first of all, understand what are the rules and regulations, and unless we begin to follow that, our struggle will continue life after life. Not that just by merely chanting some 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we going anywhere. It ain't going to happen like that. I'm not saying it. We'll read the next verse where Kapil Dev says, and you read the purport, you'll be a little bit taken aback and shaken up. That we're going nowhere with this, because I'm chanting 16 rounds, I'm eating Krishna Prasad, I'm staying in Vaishnava devotees. Maybe it's a case of causes mercy on all of us for that. What have we done for that? Are we doing what are we supposed to do? Again, going back to prescribed duties. Our brahmachari is living the life in a full mood of service. Forget about full mood of service. Do they even have the sense that I'm supposed to serve? I'm the servant of the society. I'm not supposed to take service. I'm supposed to serve everyone. Does the Grahastha have an understanding of prescribed duties to be performed? Yagna arthat karmanyo anatra loko karma bandhana. It's not only for Grahasthas, it is also for those who are not married. Don't think those who are not married, they are somewhere else. Those who are working, which means you're performing your prescribed duties because you're professional, are you engaging your work in the service of the Lord? Are you doing some charity? How much Krishna speaks about in Bhagavad Gita? In fact, in 17th chapter, he speaks about how charity is influenced by the modes of material nature, how essential it is to perform charity. Are we doing that? This is for those who are working and those in Brahmacharya ashram. Are we here to sit on the chair and give orders to others, or are we getting on our hands and feet and serving? Are we acting as a menial servant or not? So, Mai Manasam, devotee's mind is always fixed upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality God, is called Atmaram or Viditattva. Let's take a look at the next paragraph. Very interesting. An example may be cited in this connection. Just as a materialist engages in constructing a big skyscraper, a devotee engages in constructing a big temple for Vishnu. Superficially, the skyscraper constructor and temple constructor are on the same level, for both are collecting wood, stone, iron, and other building materials. But the person who constructs a skyscraper is a materialist. But the person who constructs a temple for Vishnu is Atmara. A classic example is of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. When he was working, he was as renounced after giving up his work. When he was working, what he would do, he would go and work, he'll bring his salary and give it to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, you use it. And not only him, there are many Janan Prabhu used to do it. He would use all his salary in running the temple. Now, it doesn't matter you're working in the outside world or you are serving in the temple, but do you have the moods? When you are a brahmachari or renounced in the so-called renounced situation, are you in the mood of serving? Are you in the mood of taking service from others? Similarly, those who are working outside, you can only transcend, or you can only begin the journey of transcending. Are you engaging the results of your service in the service of the Lord? Or that is only for my future planning? Bhavishya mein mujhe apna bhavishya bachana hai. Yes, we should do that. I'm not saying we've been practical about it. But practical is how much? Can't you even do some service? Because charity becomes very difficult. So, Prabhupada is giving an example. Similarly, a devotee building a temple for Vishnu and a materialist building a skyscraper. Act is same, but the result is different. Similarly, is somebody going outside and working, making money and running his family, whereas a devotee also going and working, maintaining his family, doing his thing, and also serving the society. Just like Grasta has to take care of the renounced sadhu. Now, let's say we build a temple. Who will build the temple? Yes, the brahmacharis can get into hands and feet, but where will the money come? Who will get the money? When it comes to subject matter of money, everyone begins to look at each other. Somewhere will come. I mean, if you're working, you're supposed to contribute. Who will contribute for that? You know, when temple builds up, temple starts functioning. Who will support for that? This is Grasta has to do it. Those who are working out, they have to run it. But that's something we don't want to acknowledge at times like that. So that's the point here. So those who acknowledge, there are so many fantastic examples. Right? Just now, Rohini temple opens. One disciple of Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, because he set that an example, there are many disciples of Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj who have 100% contributed everything what they had to the temple. There was this couple who was from Europe. They shifted to Mayapur. Keshav Mayapur was making a point and winded up everything there, whatever wealth they had. They brought it living in Mayapur. And then when Rohini temple had to be built, they gave 100%. Now they're part of the Rohini temple, another temple will take care. Maharaj had many examples, beautiful, wonderful examples of Grihasthas who 100% did. Of course, I'm not promoting anything like this. There has to be a proper understanding of how to do it. I'm saying even today we have examples like this, you know, where even in the Grihastha ashram, you can be so fearless. This whole idea, no, I need my balance and, you know, of course it's needed, but only focuses that only can protect us. What's going to happen? Text number 27 is for all those. Yadaivam adhyatmarataha kalena bahujanmana sarvatra jata vairagya abrahma bhavanan muni. Yadaivam adhyatmarataha. Adhyatmarata engaged in devotional service or self-realization. Kalena bahujanma. Such a people will have to take many, many births. Sarvatra jata vairagya. And gradually they will develop renunciation of vairagya. Abrahma bhavanan munihi. Up to Brahmaloka. Even if they take birth in Brahmaloka, then they will not have attraction. But it will take a long, long time for such individual. Which individual, if they are engaged in bhakti? The two individuals. One is a mixed devotee. It's a mixed devotee who will have to continue for life after life after life, where he develop a distaste for enjoyment in this world. Let's take a look at the purport. Purport, fourth line of the purport. In material existence. Third line in your there. In material existence, when a devotee is not completely purified, he expects material benefit from the Lord. Like what? Relief from his material suffering. Or he wants material gain. My dear Lord, promotion kara do, etc., etc. Or salary बढ़ा दो. Advancement in knowledge of the relationship, which means he wants knowledge, etc. When a person is transcendental to all these conditions, he is called a pure devotee. Now, this brings in the discussion of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakta, which means Vaidhi Bhakta, Raganuga Bhakta. And then comes Ragatmika Bhakta. Ragatmika Bhaktas are called spontaneous devotees. What is spontaneous devotion? Spontaneous devotion means when your object of service, you serve because you just simply love the object of service. You serve not knowing that he is a supreme personality of Godhead. Because the moment you have this idea he is a supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna is a supreme personality of Godhead, then all other factors come into picture. First factor is awe and respect comes. Second thing, because he's a supreme personality of Godhead, he can fulfill all my desires also. So then condition comes. The spontaneous devotion service means what our acharyas, what our bhakti shastras, what these verses are saying. We have to go from a mixed devotion to a spontaneous. Mixed devotion means we're always dependent on the Lord, asking for Him. Because you are the Lord, you are supposed to protect me. I'm suffering, you need to take care of my suffering. I need some wealth, you need to protect my wealth. But we don't have a mood of serving Him. Whatever service we do, because we are told in that also we pick and choose what suits my psychophysical nature and accordingly we render. But what is spontaneous? I want to serve Him because I love. That's all. He is God or not God, and that is example given. That is called as Ragatmika Bhakta, according to Rupa Goswami's language, like that. And they are said to be Brajvasis. And the highest example of that Brajvasis is Gopis. That's a goal. What's a goal? That's a goal. Can we just reach that goal by just doing 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra? To develop the spontaneous devotion service, because I'm chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Can we do that? Unless the whole day and night, everything that we do in our life is meant for the service of the Lord, can we come to that? And that state would also be awarded to us by the causeless mercy of the Lord. So those who have been practicing for all these years have to ask, what is their service contribution? Those who are new, no problem. You're in a very wonderful situation. Chanting 16 hours is great. Continue chanting 16 hours. Gradually, the subject matter will make sink in. For those of you who've been around for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and more, you all have to ask serious question to yourself. What service are you rendering? If you meet Krishna tomorrow, or if Srila Prabhupada, what service? What service am I rendering? What service am I rendering? That's a question you need to answer for yourself. Prabhuji, I am taking care of my life. I'm living. I'm doing my job. I get my salary and I chant my rounds. Some service they give me, manager gives me, I do some service. Life is going very nice. Where are you going? It doesn't seem like going anywhere. Doesn't seem like anywhere like that. So my humble suggestion, please begin to take things seriously. We have come so close to perfection. Let's not leave it because of some mere attachments and lack of faith. I'll conclude with text number 28 and 29. Oh, there's one more text, which we'll conclude now. Well, I guess I should pause here. What's the time, by the way? Oh, 8:55. Okay, text number 29, I'll take it next time. That's a very, oh, no, let me take it today only. I'll conclude the subject matter. All right, so far clear what's happening. Let's take a look at text number 28 and 29. Beautiful verse. And how Kapil Dev is concluding it. Mat bhakta pratibhudarto mat prasadena bhuyasa niheshreyasam swasamsthanam kaiva akyamadashrayam prapnoti anjasadhiraha swadashachanna samshaya yat gatvana nivarteta yogi lingal vinirgame. This is exactly similar to 2 verses from Bhagavad Gita. I will not ask you to make it complicated. But look at the first verse. Mad bhakta pratibudharto. Mad bhakta pratibudharto attains self-realization. Mad prasadena bhuyasa. How does he do that? My causeless mercy. Through my causeless mercy. Mother, go up to the verse. Go to the line. Yeah, focus on that. Don't come to word to word. Mat prasadena bhuyasa. So only through my causeless mercy. Nihe shreyasam swasamsthanam kaivalya akyamadashrayam. like that. My devotee actually becomes self-realized by my unlimited causeless mercy. Thus, when freed from all doubts, he steadily progresses towards his destined abode, which is directly under the protection of my spirituality. And then, prapnoti hanjasadiraha swadasha chinna samshaya. Swadasha, to see the truth as it is, chinna samshaya, when your doubts have been destroyed. Yat gatvana nivarteta. After attaining that, he never comes back. Yogi lingad vinagame. Yat gatvana nivartanti. Which shloka does Krishna say like this in Bhagavad Gita? Which shloka does Krishna say? Yat gatvana nivartanti.
Yat gatvan tante tadhama paramam mama.
So how does it begin? Which chapter? 15th. Which verse? Na tad bhasyate surya na shashanka na pavakaha yad gatvana nivartanti tadhama paramam mama. Anyway, that's not my point. Main point is the devotee attains perfection mat prasadena bhuyasa. The same thing what Krishna says. Kapil Dev is also saying, by my causeless mercy. What act of ours will inspire Lord for causeless mercy? Is what I'm raising question again and again today. प्रभु जी 16 माला कर रहा हूँ, प्रभु का आभार प्रकट करना चाहिए. He should be so grateful to me that I'm chanting this now. Is that what? But anyways, he doesn't need us, we need him. We should not have confusion about it. Okay. You read that puppet by yourself. Beautiful puppet. Let's conclude this discussion. Yadana yoga pachita shucheto maya susiddhasya visajatya anyanya hetu shvatame gatisya atyantiki yatra namrityuha saha. When a perfect yogi's attention is no longer attracted to the byproducts of mystic powers, which are manifestations of the external energy, his progress towards me becomes unlimited. Thus, the power of death cannot overcome him. So, our attraction to the Lord cannot become steady unless we engage everything what we are attracted to in the service of the Lord. Let me ask a question to you. What are the greatest obstacles that you feel are there for you in developing attraction to Lord Krishna or to the Lord? What could be the greatest obstacles? Any thoughts? What are the challenges, obstacles, distractions that we have which are there existing for us in the developing attraction with the Lord? A man can say opposite sex, a wife can say, husband, wife can say for each other like that, maybe, or vice versa. What else? What else? Huh? Fear because of material attachments, right? So material attachment, that's a consequence. Material attachments to what? To family, material attachments to what? Your possessions, material attachments to your salary, material attachments to your job, whatever it is. So your Prabhupada says dovetailing. Unless you engage all of them in the service of the Lord, these will always remain an obstacle. I'm just simplifying as much as I can. Unless you engage every act that you do in the service of the Lord, at least begin to engage as much as your potential. At least do something. Just no, don't look at this area, nothing. No, we got to. And that's how we'll purify our attraction towards the material things. And that's how, to the degree our attraction toward Lord Shri Krishna will develop. Otherwise, how many of you are content and satisfied with the quality of chanting that you have? Let me put it the other way. How many of you are dissatisfied? I have this monthly reports that leader sends me. Every time is the same thing. They may have sometime steadiness in hearing and reading. But when it comes to chanting, everyone have an answer. Dissatisfied. How many of you are dissatisfied with the quality of chanting? Raise your hands. Those who were virtually, kindly act quickly if you are able to hear. How many of you are dissatisfied with the quality of your chanting? Now, my question to all of you is, after chanting for all these years, you're still dissatisfied. What solution you have to increase quality chanting? Have you thought of any solution? Bas Prabhuji, subah bas naam jap karte ho. What solutions do you have where you can improve your chanting?
Prabhupada says chant more and you will get the taste sometime.
All right.
Chant more.
Gopal said chant more. How often also we are able to do it? Again, we are not able to do it because of our own material attraction that we talked about. Because to the degree we are attracted to it, it will keep on distracting us. So it's not possible. The solution is correct. Chant more. So that's the point. That's the point. Where are we actually going? So, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, Kapila also said, we need to take it with all earnestness. And the only reason why we are not able to take it with all earnestness, there are few factors that I can say, and I'll conclude with that. One is the material nature, that Desha Kala Patra, Prayin Alpa Ayushya Sabhya Kalavasmi Yugejana Manda Sumanda Mat Bhagavi Upadataha. We are at a time which is said to be manda, laziness. The environment is filled with that laziness, particularly towards spiritual life. The more you identify it, or the more you expose yourself to the material nature, you're gonna be covered over by this spiritual distraction or laziness. We will just not be able to take it up with all understanding. We will just keep on delaying our spiritual progress. That is one reason. Now we cannot do anything about it. It is only gonna become worse. So which means we're gonna become more and more helpless. Then what else do you have? You have only one thing at your hands, to follow things sincerely and nicely. Follow what Krishna says, follow Krishna's teaching. Don't find if and but, don't say, I will do this, I will not do that. It ain't gonna work. We cannot cheat the Lord. There is a process which is given for purification. We got to abide by that. We need to follow that process. There's no shortcuts. And when we follow the process, then we have to wait for Krishna's mercy. So we all have done so much. We all have taken to 16 rounds of chanting. We are following 4 regular principles. We have voluntarily given up on sex life. I mean, not given sex life. Those who are in married ashram, they have their rules and regulations. But those who are in brahmachari ashram, they've given voluntarily up on sex life, which is the greatest attraction in this world. We have given up on cinemas. We have given up on eating outside. We have given up holidaying out in some different cities in the countries like that. We have given up all that. What is holding us back then? So much we have done. And same holds true for Grastas. They don't go holidaying out in Goa or some place like that. They go for yatras. They're so enthusiastic for it. So much we all have done. What is holding us back? So we conclude here, where you can take few minutes to write down your attachments. What are the greatest attachments that I have? And am I dovetailing them in the service of the Lord? Am I engaging them in the service of the Lord? There's a question that you can ask for yourself. And maybe we know where we are stuck. What is holding us back? All right, with this, I'll pause here. Thank you for your kind attention. Anyone has any question, any comment, we can take it. Let's move forward. Yes, Mother Sangeeta, go ahead.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु, दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु।
Yeah.
ये सब जो भगवान के लिए भी जो हम करने के लिए कोशिश करते हैं, वो भी एक तरह से हमारा ही सेंस एंजॉयमेंट जैसा नहीं हो जाता है क्या? क्योंकि वी आर गोइंग टू टेम्पल, वी आर टेकिंग दर्शन ऑफ
So that
डेटीज।
सेंस एंजॉयमेंट में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, क्योंकि आप गुरु गुरांगा के आदेश के अनुसार कर रहे हैं. सो भक्ति लाइफ मतलब ये नहीं है दैट यू हैव टू फास्ट योरसेल्फ और डिप्राइव योरसेल्फ फॉर एनी काइंड ऑफ सेंस प्लेजर. सेंसेस का तो एंजॉयमेंट होना ही होना है. आप अभी गुरु गुरांग के आदेश के अनुसार कर रहे हैं, तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, करते रहिए. डेली जाइए मंदिर अगर अच्छा लगता है तो. ऑल राइट.
नहीं, वही मतलब भगवान की सर्विस के लिए जाने जैसा नहीं होता ना, अगर हम केवल
देखिए,
दर्शन लेने
भगवान की
जा रहे
सेवा
हैं
का मतलब ये थोड़ा है कि आप दुखी होंगे करते हुए.
जी।
तो अगर आप खुश हैं तो इसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या है? अच्छी बात है, खुश रहिए. Example, Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, whenever he would meet devotees, he'll ask, खुश हो? So you're supposed to be happy only, na? So what's the problem?
जी
It's all good. But again, as I said, identify your material attachments. That's a problem. Are we putting them in service of the Lord? Again, if you are a working professional, how are you purifying your job? Are you, if not on a daily basis, able to do charity, not even a weekly basis, are you doing monthly tithing? To whichever center you're connected, temples are connected, wherever you're serving, wherever you're getting nourishment from, are you supporting that center? Question came, brahmachari should be assisted or served by the grahasthas. So are we doing something monthly contribution? How would brahmacharis will be taken care? How would the ashram run? How would the center run? Are we contributing? Are we making financial contributions? That's the duty for those who are working. Are we doing that? Because somewhere or other, nothing is enough, how much we earn. All right. Yes, Madam Medavani.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Danat Pranam. Thank you so much. Very wonderful session as always. Prabhuji, you mentioned about this video of as well as Indradyumna Swami Maharaj and Radhanath Swami Maharaj. If you can just share that, if it is not confidential to be restricted within the Hinjewadi group, I would request if you can share it in online groups.
You can just
Okay.
go to YouTube, search for ISKCON San Jose channel.
ISKCON?
San Jose channel, or just type Radhanath Swami. This is a recent lecture. I just got it from YouTube only. So there you'll find it last Sunday. It's
Sure,
up there on San Francisco, San Jose's, YouTube channel. Vaisheshika Post Community over there. All right.
Thank you, Prabhu. I just wanted to add one more thing. Mataji was asking about enjoying the darshan of the deities. So I heard His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj saying, if the Lord knows that you're enjoying serving the Lord, then the Lord is more pleased than we doing it as a matter of duty. So I just wanted to share that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Varun Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Yes.
So Prabhuji, I guess today in the lecture you were talking about Ragatmika Bhakti, where we are supposed to advance towards spontaneous love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
That was Raganuga Bhakti. Ragatmika is later on. First coming to Raganuga.
Yes, Raganuga Bhakti, yes.
Yeah.
So my question is, like you said that we are first we are following the Vedi Sadhana Bhakti and then we advance to Raganuga Bhakti. But spontaneous Bhakti means that we do service out of pure love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without thinking about that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead or he will do this for me and I will get this benefit from the Lord. But I mean, my question is, and it might be a layman's question, how do we get that? Because I mean, unless we feel that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, why would I serve him?
Correct. Varun Prabhu, this is not something we get it. It's not a mental adjustment. Ragatmika Bhakti is the Bhakti of or devotional service of Brajavasis. And everything that happens there happens under the influence of Yogamaya. When Krishna had opened his mouth as Lala, and Mother Yashoda saw the whole universe, eventually she saw herself in the mouth of Krishna. For a second, she fainted and she began to think about how Gargamuni has said, your son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And she developed the sense of awe and reverence. Oh, this is not my son. This is Supreme Personality of Godhead. For a second, she had got the realization. And then again, Yogamaya covered her that thinking and she forgot. And she again came back to her reflection. No. This is not possible. This is my son. So this is awarded by the Lord. You don't have to do a adjustment. Okay, 5 minutes before he was Krishna, the Supreme Personality. Now I would say he's not Supreme Personality. He's my friend. It doesn't work like that. All right. So that is the Ragatmika eternal associates of the Lord who serves the Lord, who have, by the mercy of the Lord, have got access into the internal entourage of the Lord. They have been Nitya Siddhas, or could be those who have gone from this world, become part of that entourage, where now, under the influence of Yogamaya, they have no sense Krishna is the Lord. They just love Krishna. Ragatmika, which means attraction, raga, is so much for them that their whole existence is about Krishna. Like that. Is it making sense?
Yes, Prabhuji.
For us, we have to practice Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. And then when Guru Gauranga is pleased, the things will open up in our consciousness. Next levels. Video games, next level. So next level of consciousness will begin to dawn upon us. We'll go to the next level of consciousness. Will things become far easier. Like that. We don't have to worry about any mental adjustments. It doesn't happen through mental adjustments. It's about awakening of consciousness. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone joining in. Excuse me if it became highly philosophical for a reason, but it was a subject matter, so I thought why don't we have it. Thank you again for joining in. We close our discussion with today. Technical topics will begin from next week. We'll see that. And then some very interesting discussions going to happen after 1 or 2 chapters. Jagadaru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, कपिल देव की